Now let's talk about RubberDuck and the CLI. So this is we're actually looking at the integrated browser here. Let's open the CLI. Is it that? That's it. That's it. Here we go. And we're in this repo here for this project. And this is just a project I use all the time to demonstrate a lot of things, but it just allows you to create lists of links, right? It's not super complex, and then you get like one public link when you publish it that you can share with people, and then they can go take this public link, right? If this site was published, and they can see your list of links. That's all it is. It's really just a
Okay.
list application. So the idea with RubberDuck is that these models, if we look at models, go first. Let me make sure streamer mode is on, so I don't streamer mode is off, so I don't disclose the hidden models. They're there. Just what are they? No one knows. Okay. Stay focused, chat. So you have these different model families, right? You most importantly, you have the Claude family from Anthropic, and you have the GPT family. And these models are trained on different training data, so they have different blind spots. For instance, Opus tends to be better at design, and 5.5 tends to be better at rigorous code because they have different blind spots. And so what the team figured out at GitHub was that you can combine these models and get much better results. So in the CLI, there's a bunch of different ways to do this. Like my current model so we're on Opus 4.5. Let's go to Opus 4.6. Where's Opus 4.6? There it is. Medium is fine. If we wanted to, we could say I don't know, like let's add the ability to within group links within a list. Um, get GPT 5.5 to do it. Okay. So you can actually do this. You can have one model just call another model. If you
Okay.
didn't know that you can do this in the CLI, you can do this. And you'll see here now this is a terrible way to waste your tokens. Don't do this. So you can see there's actually this explore subagent. This is actually good. So if we go to tasks and we look at the explore subagent, I don't know if it'll list here, but this is actually using Haiku 4.5 in the background.
Now,
uh,
why did you real quick, why did you mention it was a terrible way to, waste your
because
tokens?
I'm using Opus to call GPT 5.5. Like it's just
Okay.
the most expensive way to possibly use the CLI. You would want to use a smaller model, but for the purposes of demonstration, we're gonna like Microsoft pay for these tokens. But you can see it's gonna explore the code base, and then it's gonna come up with a plan. But then what it's gonna do is it's gonna actually delegate this to GPT 5.5 to actually do the work.
Okay.
And if we wait here long enough, that will happen. So now that you know that the CLI will do this, because you have access to these different model families, having GPT models review Sonnet models, Claude models rather, or having Claude models review GPT models results in a better output. So, for instance, they discovered that with Claude Sonnet 4.6, if you have GPT review Sonnet 4.6's planning and its
Mhm.
code, that you can approximate about 75% of the performance of Opus. And Opus is more expensive than, say, 5.4 and Sonnet combined. Okay.
Okay.
So they built a feature into the CLI that's called RubberDoc. And I feel like I'm just going to open up we're just going to YOLO into a new session here. And then we'll see where this one goes. And RubberDuck is exactly what I just did, where it requests a review from a model of a different family automatically for you. So if we said, so like let's do a plan, add the ability to group links within a list. Okay, so we're gonna plan with Sonnet 4.6. But the idea is that the CLI will automatically get reviews from you from a different model family. So if you're using Claude models, it will automatically use this thing called RubberDuck to ask GPT models for a review on what it's doing. So let's just walk through this real quick here. I don't know how
So
much
it's
time do we have,
essentially
brother?
like models peer reviewing each other.
Exactly, that's exactly what it is. But
Um,
it happens automatically at key boundaries, right? So,
yeah.
like, planning is one, implementation is another. So let's see here.
By the
Um,
way, while you're in the CLI, uh, have you come across any situations that you couldn't do in the CLI that you would have to switch over to VS Code for, or vice versa?
I mean, I always you can see I'm running the CLI in VS Code because I need to see my terminals. I mean, my I need to see files, and I like to see the terminal, and you can see I'm running the terminal's down here, but I'm running them as tabs. Um, but yeah, I mean, like, the chat has major advantages over the CLI. Like, if you wanna do custom agents, um then if you did like in the CLI, it's kind of hard to edit custom agents, but here, if you wanted to do a custom agent, right, it's much easier to edit them here than it is in the CLI. So yeah, there's advantages to both. Let's see here. Let's just answer these questions. Sure, sure. Okay. We'll let it go through and create a plan. This is the fun of demoing with AI is that you have to wait on it.
Yeah, I figured I'd ask that just for the folks that are seeing the CLI, but not that haven't really experimented with it too much, you know,
Yeah,
if they
it's a great question, and for those who've never seen the CLI before, it's essentially an agent, but just in the terminal, right? And you can actually use it. I could have just come here and said here, right? I could have done the same thing.
Mhm.
There's no difference. It's the same thing. I just happened to execute it in a terminal here. I know we're tight on time here. We need a plan. Give us a plan. We might so over here, it's so like it right here, you can see it called GPT-5.5 right here, delegating to GPT-5.5. And I bet that's actually running in the background here. Yes, you can see the model has been overridden right there. Ah, I can't scroll back up for some reason. But if we were to do so, like, let's cancel this for a second. Um, that cancel. Is our code base still exploring over here? Okay, so created the plan. And now I'm curious whether or not it will get a rubber duck review on its own. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But if it doesn't, what we can do is we could just say, you just say, how do you spell is rubber's got two? Let's exit plan. I'll prompt myself. Rubber duck this plan. Right. So if I just say rubber duck this plan, it should call the rubber duck feature here in the CLI. Let's see what happens. We'll check on this other process. It's cooking over here too. That's still canceling that task. By the way, did you know so in the CLI, you have this like prompt box here. So here, you see it running right there. So it automatically picks a different model from a different family to critique the plan here. So we can look at this. We can look at critiquing the plan and then look at what please critique this implementation. And of course, this is composed for you by adding link grouping, be thorough, find bugs, design flaws, missing edge cases, and anything that could cause regressions. Right, really high fidelity prompts, passing in the tech stack, the current data model. I think we could probably expand this. Anyway, that's essentially what RubberDuck does, and I kind of forced its hand because we're in a time demo here, but it will automatically happen at key boundaries. So after you create a plan, it will check its plan. Um, after you, that's weird. I don't want to do that. Get out of here. After
Burke,
you, after it does a big implementation, it will automatically call RubberDuck, and then anytime that it's doing test cases, it will call RubberDuck. And essentially, they've identified those three scenarios as being the time at which you get the most value out of the feature.
how did you come across Rubber Duck to begin with?
Yeah, so there's a whole article on this. If you just Google, GitHub Copilot CLI RubberDuck, there's a whole article that the research team wrote about how this works, why they made it, what the performance is, so you can see all the data there. But it's pretty fascinating, right? Like this idea that when we put frontier models together, we actually get this like hybrid, uh, Android. What that's not the word. Like hybrid model thing that's like that's better, right,
Mhm.
than each of these models on their own.
Have you been, like, using it, like, actively or,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, so I was using Sonnet, excuse me, I was using Opus all the time, but I'm not doing that anymore because a lot of folks currently don't have access to Opus or their access is restricted, because of the changes. So I'm now using Sonnet all the time, either on medium or low reasoning and just letting the rubber duck kick in and, and having just as much luck as I had with Opus.
Nice. Alright. Um, is there, any other, topics regarding, like, the CLI that you wanted to, uh, mention as
Oh
we
man,
wrap
there's
it?
so many different things we could talk about with the CLI, right? There's autopilot, there's plan mode, there's fleet, where you can enable a fleet of agents to go out and do things.
So let me ask you this then, like if someone's gonna be new to the CLI, because some people like feel like it's a little bit intimidating, like what would you have them like experiment first with it just to get comfortable without being
Ooh.
intimidated?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So what I would do is just come into the CLI and down here, if you watch the very bottom, you can see it switching from like plan mode to autopilot and then back to regular. So just come in here, go to plan mode, shift tab to go into plan mode, right?
Mhm.
Work through it to do a plan, and then when it's ready, it will say, "Do you wanna implement this with autopilot?" And you say yes, it will automatically switch to autopilot, and it will implement your plan. That's all you have to do. Just do that,
Okay.
and you're up and running with the CLI. And actually, the harness here, a lot of the stuff that we normally use, like orchestration and stuff, it's all built into the harness. So, like, the planning the autopilot is really like CLI's version of a Ralph loop. It just keeps
Mhm.
going and going and going until it's like, "Are you sure you're done? Are you sure you're done? Are you sure you're done?" To make sure that it actually does what it says it's gonna do instead of just saying it.
So I've heard the term Ralph loop before. Can you explain to someone exactly like what it is, and also how long is at what point is too long that a Ralph loop is gone before it actually gets its work done?
Yeah, so a Ralph loop is like, let's look at this. So, like, you can call Copilot like this. Uh, you can call Copilot in what we call non-interactive mode, where you're just, like, passing it a prompt and then getting a value back, right? So you can imagine, like, if you can do this, if you can pass something to an AI and then have it give you a result back just here in the terminal without actually opening the CLI, as you can see that I just did. There's no active agents named Reynald running right now. What in the world? And then you can pass in like the model like this as well, right? You can pass in. I think it's like this. Anyway, so then what you can do is the idea of a Ralph loop is really it's a script, and the script looks like this, right? Um, And that's really it. And then this thing, you just execute this and this just runs over and over and over again. Now, normally the way that this works is you have like a product requirements document, often called like a PRD, which you've already created ahead of time. And
Mhm.
that the prompt says something like this. It says implement, I can't spell, implement the PRD, right? And it maybe it's called plan.md. And then this loops and it just goes over and over and over and it keeps going and it keeps going until it reaches 100. So here it's probably like this is the most code I've written in like 12 months, y'all bear with me. Something like that. Okay. But the other core idea behind the Ralph loop is that it learns as it goes. So what you do is you say implement the plan and you say store your learnings in a file called learnings.md. That's good enough. There we go. And then what you would do is you would pass that in. You would say something like this. So this is essentially like um this is what's the word? I can't think of the word. Not hacky. It's rough. This is rough, but this is what a Ralph loop is. It
Alright.
goes over a PRD and it just iterates, and you're like, well, why do we have to do this? Because a lot of times agents, when they one shot something, make a ton of mistakes, or they don't complete the whole thing. But if you have it do it over and over and over and over again, and learning as it goes, then it will work out. It will figure out as it goes its own errors and actually get you a better product in the end.
But if it goes for, like, 2 minutes, is that considered, okay, too long and this Ralph loop really isn't working, or should it be, like, 10 minutes
I
or
mean,
longer?
technically, you could just do this. Just I mean, people let Ralph loops run for days.
Oh,
But,
wow. Okay, I didn't know it was
obviously,
that deep.
this is gonna use an
Alright,
insane amount of tokens and requests, right?
okay.
So, um, yeah, that's why Autopilot is sort of the CLI's version of that, but in a controlled environment.
Nice. Well, cool. I will never think of, rubber ducks the same way again now.
There you
Cool.
go.
Well, thanks so much, for, showing us this with the Ralph loop and the rubber duck. Was there any last things that you wanted to say before we, switch over to our next guest?
No, just try try the CLI, try Rubber Duck, it'll even put ducks in your terminal. What's not to like?
Yeah, exactly, with a name like rubber duck. Thanks so much, Burke.
Thanks for having me. Bye, everybody.